Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Education Connection show. My name is Mari Ferrel. I will be your host today. And I wanted to do this episode because school is right around the corner. We are in the month of August. School's fixing to start back up for high schoolers, and also the college students are also going to be in session here pretty soon. That is why I wanted to bring in Blass Guerrero and also our very own Maya Clark to talk about their experience in college. But specifically, I wanted to kind of focus on their grad program experience. So we have Blass, he's still currently in that program, and then we have Maya that already completed that, which I've heard stories, so I'm excited, good and bad.
I have a master's degree.
Okay, so I'll start off with you, Maya.
Okay.
Since you already completed it. So what made you want to get into a grad program after your bachelor's?
Honestly, I've just always wanted a master's degree. Like, that's what it really boils down to. I've always wanted one. I like school, especially when it comes to things related to communication of that, like, nature. And I like the research aspect of it. And I felt like, you know, whether I decide to stay in journalism for the rest of my career or I decide to do something else, having a master's degree kind of opens up different opportunities.
Yes.
And I could go back to school. I could teach if I wanted to in certain fields, in certain areas. It could help, you know, improve your pay. And so for me, I think it just opened up different opportunities. And I knew that I was going to graduate with my bachelor's degree in 3 years. And so I was like, well, if I'm not ready to go off into the real world, then I can just do 2 more years of school. And I think it worked out perfectly because I graduated with my bachelor's degree during the pandemic. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess it's perfect timing to stay in school because, you know, finding jobs during that time was it was difficult because it's like, stay home. So yeah, that's what led me to get it. Yeah.
You went to school during, I think we all did. We ended up, we were in college at some point.
Yeah.
When COVID happened. And yeah, you're so right. A lot of people were getting let go because they didn't want a lot of people at work in the workplace. So okay, very, very good. And Blass, what made you want to, you know, get a master's degree?
I will say it was peer pressure from my professor. So I was I was in the Perry newspaper when I was at WT, and I would usually just be there just to work on homework and stuff like that. And my professor just walked out and be like, "Hey, Bloss, what are you gonna do after graduation?" I was just like, "Hopefully get a job and be done." Like I just plan on being done with school for good. She's like, "What about grad school? Have you thought of that?" I'm like, "No." I just straight up said no. And then she's like, "Well, you should do it. I think you're really good about doing it." And I was like, "I don't know." I was like, "Not really." And then I asked her questions like, "What about if I get a job today in news? What if I get a completely different job?" She's like, "We could work with it." But she's like, "Think about it." And then, like, I kind of, like, not thought about it. I was kind of, like, moving on. And then I bumped into her. She's like, "So what about grad school?" I'm like, "Oh, no."
Again.
Yeah. And I was like, "Okay, I'm going to give it a shot." So once I graduated in December 2023, I took a semester break. Then in August of 2024, I went to school, and I've been there since.
Wow. Okay, so when are you expected to graduate with this degree?
So I have 2 more electives this semester. And then I'm starting my thesis next semester. So hopefully December 2027.
Okay, that is so exciting. Oh my gosh, we're going to do something whenever you graduate. That'll be very fun. And so I'm like a first generation student. Whenever it came to just going to college, that was a whole new experience. And I was also the oldest child. So I just kind of had to navigate everything, I feel like, blindly. It was like I applied for my bachelor's degree, and at first with a master's degree, I was like, what is that? What do you do whenever you are working on that? For those that don't know, Maya, can you kind of explain what all did you do for your master's degree?
For applying and like getting into it? Or,
yes.
Okay, so about a year before I graduated, so in summer of 2019, I started studying for the GRE because at that time the GRE was still really like required, and I think some schools now they're a little bit more lax on it. But I started studying for the GRE that summer. Me and one of my best friends, I was like, "You're really good at math. That's not my strong suit." And so we would like have tutoring sessions like every single week so that I could like improve my math scores. And so right before the fall semester started for my senior year, I took the GRE one time then, and then I took it one other time in October. And so I took it twice. And then after that, I started applying, and applications are usually due sometime during the fall. So, like November, December is usually the cutoff if you're trying to get in for the following fall semester.
Oh, okay.
And so I applied, I sent all my applications, got my references from my professors and people who I worked with, sent all of that in. I applied to the University of Georgia, University of Central Florida, and I actually didn't really apply to the University of West Florida, which is where I went to school and was actively going to school. I didn't apply there at first, but my professor was like, why don't you try our program?
Yeah, we're
Like
here.
you're already here. And I was like, okay, fine, like I'll do it. So I applied to all of them and found out I got into UCF, found out I got into UGA, got into all 3 programs. And then it ultimately came down to like which one was going to offer more money. And it was West Florida. And so I'm very blessed that I was able to get my master's degree paid for because a
Wow.
lot of master's degrees, they offer you graduate assistantships. And it's a way to kind of make it more affordable so you can focus on the academics and focus on the research part of it.
Gotcha.
And I think that's really one of the biggest differences between your bachelor's degree and your master's degree. Like, yes, you're researching when it's master's degree, you have the quizzes, the assignments, and all of that. But for a lot of master's programs, it is heavily research focused. And that's the beauty of, the thesis. And Bloss mentioned he's going to be working on his thesis soon. And you pick a topic that is like, this is what you're going to become the expert in. And so that was kind of how I applied, got in, got situated. And each program is different. Like each program has a different focus. There's some without thesis, and you can do a thesis versus non-thesis. So it really just depends on the path that you want to go down. If you want to go more research focused, and so if you plan on maybe getting your PhD or you want to consider that down the line, it is kind of advised to do a thesis because your PhD is expanding on your thesis essentially.
Okay. Oh my gosh, I learned so much just now. That's very interesting. I hope that our viewers listening that are kind of thinking about getting about or getting into it, got some knowledge off of that. And I don't even think I asked y'all, what did you go to school for your bachelor's, and also what did you study in for your master's?
I majored in journalism with minors in international studies and sports management for my bachelor's degree. So I have a Bachelor of Arts in Communication from the University of West Florida. And then my master's is in strategic communication and leadership from the University of West Florida. In the program, we got certificates as well in executive leadership, health communication, and social media for advertising and public relations.
Okay, look at you. I know you got a good resume. That's awesome. And Bloss, what did you study in for your bachelor's, and what are you doing right now for your master's?
So for my bachelor's, I got my bachelor's in broadcast journalism, and then right now I'm doing my communication. So I have all the same teachers, basically what I have. So it's kind of like a good ease to like, okay, I already know these teachers, how they work. So I'm like, I know them personally. So like it helped me kind of move to that transition.
Awesome. Well, thank y'all so much for sharing that. And to our viewers, I do want to take a quick little break. We will come back and we'll continue the Education Connection episode. Keep it here. Welcome back to the Education Connection show. We still have our special guest with us in studio. So we were kind of talking about what they ended up doing before the break, what they were doing in college for their bachelor's, and also what they ended up studying for their master's. And now I kind of want to talk about the thesis, because whenever you think of a master's degree, like the first thing that pops up in your head is thesis. Like, what is that? That seems like it's a lot of work. How long does it usually take? And Bloss and Maya are going to answer all of our questions. So, Maya, for your thesis, about how long did it take for you to do that?
The program was 2 years. So I would say it probably took 2 years
Oh my gosh.
because the first part of it, you're not really working on, you're trying to figure out what you want your thesis to be about. And so when we started the program advisor was like, when it comes to your thesis, pick something that you are actually passionate about because it is a long process. It does have its ups and downs with gathering all the data. So make sure you pick something that you're passionate about. And so when you factor in the coursework and the research classes that you're having to take and qualitative versus quantitative and all of those things, I would say overall it took the full 2 years. They really push a heavy focus on it your second year because they're like, okay, you need to get this done. Like, this is what you need to graduate.
Right.
But you're preparing for it basically as soon as you enter because they kind of want you to have an idea of what you want your thesis to be in by the end of that first year. And so I would say it took the full 2 years just figuring out what I wanted to do, what method I was going to take, because there's a lot of different ways you can do your thesis. You can focus on the qualitative data, the quantitative data. And so sometimes it's a mix of both. And there's certain review processes during the thesis part too. Because if you're doing interviews, you have to get IRB approved, which...
What is that? Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to make sure it is IRB.
And Blass over there was shaking his head like,
Blass
yeah.
is like, yes,
Yeah.
it is terrible. So basically, IRB is the Institutional Review Board, and it is an ethics committee that reviews and approves how you conduct interviews and how you conduct your research. And so if you are choosing to do interviews for your entire thesis, you have to get those questions approved. And you have to get like how you're going to do the interview style. And so if you're going to have open-ended questions and that's what you want it to be, every single person you interview has to have those same open-ended questions.
Gotcha.
If you want it to be like closed-ended, you have to get that approved too. And so sometimes it's a thing of, okay, well, thank you for submitting this. Here's the things we think you should rework. And then before you can even start the research, you have to have that approved. Like it is a must. And so you have to make sure that you're doing everything like with good ethics and good standards and following all of the things. And so some people like shy away from that side because like I don't want to deal with the IRB. I like done with IRB. I think like people would rather maybe deal with like the government than deal with IRB because it's like these random people telling you actually your questions are terrible. Rework it. So
oh my gosh.
it's all to make your research better, but I mean it is really nerve-wracking having to figure that out and figuring out how you're going to gather the data. And for me, my thesis is on the difference in language used to describe men and women's athleticism in the March Madness tournament. And so the way that I gathered information was I sat down for like days over the winter break, what was supposed to be the winter break, and I just sat and watched March Madness games. Like that is what I did, and like I wasn't watching it for like entertainment. I was watching it to see what the broadcasters were saying.
Yeah.
And through that, it was saying like, okay, well, in women's basketball, for example, it was maybe when a foul took place, it was happening to them. But whenever it was men's basketball, they were committing it. And so for women's sports, it was like the act of violence was happening to them. But for men's sports, the men were committing the act of violence. And so it was like, it'd be like whatever foul it was. Like it wasn't always like violent, but if it's like you push someone or you like, it was usually like stuff like that. And you have to figure out how you're going to categorize it. So it's a lengthy process and putting it all into words. It's like, here is my baby. Please take care of it.
Yes.
This is motherhood for education.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That sounds so interesting. Okay. So I didn't realize there's like a lot of ways that you could go about your thesis. I thought everyone just interviewed people, but that is not the case. Okay. And Blass, you haven't done yours yet, but do you kind of have an idea of what you're going to be doing?
Yeah, I've been going through it. Even like before I was an undergrad, I kind of had like the idea of doing like, since I'm in news, I want to do like something about misinformation, and all my professors have been like helping me, like each individual ones that I have. I've done like different research topics about it, and each one like gives me like good perspectives. Like, okay, you could do it this way, you could do it this way, and then like whenever I do like the question in my research, they're like, okay, make it simpler, make it different. Like I get all that feedback from them for right now, because I know like what Maya said earlier is like I'm gonna have to go through that stuff like already to myself. So
Yes.
I'm like, I gotta prepare. Thanks, Maya.
Okay. So you're not gonna go through interviews and IRB and all that, or you will?
Yeah, I have.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're gonna. Okay.
and even if say like I don't do like in interviews, if I do surveys, I had to send those as well. If I do surveys,
yeah.
I had to send those questions. Be like, here's my survey. Here's what's gonna look like.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, I never knew. Okay, I knew master's degrees were going to be a lot harder, a lot more focused. You know, I didn't realize it was so much work.
Yeah.
In 2 years too. On average, is it 2 years? Can it be more than that?
Yeah, I've been taking mine slowly. I've been taking 2 classes each semester just because I'm like,
You're also a full-time employee here too.
yes.
Yeah.
So I'm taking it slowly. So usually, like Maya said, it's 2 years, but I'm like, I'm taking it two at a time.
And it really depends on what the program is too. Like sometimes for business, it's maybe 1 or 2 years. For social work, it's usually 2 years. It really just depends on the program and also the university itself. Because for some programs, they're like, okay, well, it's going to take you 3 years. But some programs, they also give you a time limit to finish the degree. Because if you're like, if you start your coursework in 2020, but then you don't finish it until maybe 2035, the standards have changed.
Yeah.
And so it's like you do have to finish it within a certain amount of time usually.
Okay. Nice. Wow. I'm again. I'm so glad that I did an episode on this because like, I have never done a master's degree, and it's been a thought in my head. I just don't know if I want to because it's a lot of work. You know.
It's a lot of writing.
A lot.
A lot of writing and research.
Because thesis is part of it, but also you have courses that you still do. Blass, can you tell me a little bit more about like what you have been doing down at WT?
All of it's been online so far, so thankfully. That way it helps with my job and just kind of balancing that out. But a lot of it's been online, and most of it sometimes last semester I know I had to take a political science class where I had to do group Zooms with my group and just talk about what we read and kind of discuss it. So it's interesting because whenever you're in the master's program, everybody has like their kind of like their big boy jobs, I would say. So like I know like my last one I had like a fire chief, I had somebody in the army, I had somebody city secretary and a teacher. So it's like all the different backgrounds, and we were just trying to like we're all on this together, and like we're trying to like progress about like, all different backgrounds, and I think it's cool just seeing that.
Yeah, very diverse. Okay, so they're not all like students that had just graduated with their bachelor's and they're going straight into it. Wow, very interesting. Well,
and from different areas, not from like the Panhandle, but like from
they're
like
from all
Tyler,
over.
Texas, like Midland.
Wow,
So yeah.
very good. Well, I do want to take another quick break. Whenever we come back, we'll continue this conversation. Keep it here. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We're going to start wrapping up this episode with this last segment, and we still have Bloss and Maya here in studio to talk about their experience when it came to their grad programs. So I do want to ask, there's a lot of work when it comes to getting a master's degree. Maya and Bloss, is it worth it?
Bloss, do you want to go first?
Right now, like since I'm still in the program, I think yes, I think it gives you more like experience for me, like research wise, and it actually like brings it down here when I do my stories. I kind of like help me bring that research and just read quickly and write stuff quickly because I know like when even taking two classes, it's a lot of essays. It's like three essays a week. I would say on average.
Wow.
So I think personally, like I think it's yes, like it brings you like gives you that good experience, and it opens more opportunities.
So whenever it comes to your master's degree, it has helped you a lot whenever it comes to like working here.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then Maya, what do you think? Is it worth it?
I would say yes. I think, when you look at the education standpoint of it, but also the connections. And like Bloss mentioned, you're meeting people from all backgrounds. And I think that you hear about non traditional students. Grad programs are usually like those non traditional students. I had people in my program who were retired from the military, retired from law enforcement, and everybody's working towards getting this one degree for different reasons. And so it's like through your program, you're learning about crisis communication, you're learning about how to be a better journalist, you're learning about teaching. And so it's like the station could have a crisis and I could probably solve it with my eyes closed. And so it's definitely worth it because it does give you those transferable skills regardless of what you do. And I think that that's what's really important in life is you have to be able to adapt. And if grad school teaches you anything, it's how to adapt to any situation because you are on a time crunch a lot of times. The deadlines don't stop. And for our program, I know it was weird because it was during COVID and our classes, they also shortened them. And so we had like 2 6-week sessions within the fall semester. And so everything was like fast paced. And so I think it's definitely worth it. It helps with your time management, transferable skills. There's so many things you can do within your master's program that I think it just makes you a better employee, regardless of what you do, a better business owner. But I think it also makes you more understanding and compassionate of what other people are going through because you're like juggling work and school and life. And so I think that it's definitely worth it. And And also, education is so powerful and invaluable. It's the one thing that
Preach.
people can never take away from you. Like, no one can ever take away your education from you. Like, regardless if I stay a journalist for 5 more years or 5 more seconds, I'm always going to have my master's degree.
Yep.
I'm always going to have my education.
And I'm so glad you brought that up because, yes, like the whole reason I even wanted to do this show to begin with is because I believe in the power of education. It, like Maya was saying, like she took the words out of my mouth. No one's going to take away your degree. Your name is on that degree. And you mentioned the importance of, getting an education. Blass, can you tell me a little bit more about why education is so important to you?
I see it as something like Maya said, like that's not going to be taken away. I think learning a lot helps you, not educationally, but like as a person
Yeah.
too. And I think me getting my associates, me getting my bachelor's, they're all big steps in me. And then getting my master, hopefully graduating my master's soon, will help me become a better person, like just in work wise and in my life in general.
Very good. And Bloss, so we talked about you getting your associates, bachelor's, you're getting your master's. Are you thinking of a doctorate anytime soon?
Right now, that's a no. Hopefully, I don't have another professor that pressures me to do it, or Maya doesn't pressure me to do it.
I know. Okay. We'll check back on you in a
Okay.
few years and we'll see. He's going to be in a doctorate program or whatever.
Oh my God.
Maya, what are you thinking? Are you wanting to pursue your, the next level?
I think there's part of me that definitely wants to because I feel like my research isn't finished. Like, I feel like it's not finished because it focused on, the difference of it, but now I want to expand and focus on the impact of it and what are the things that we can do to make sure that our language isn't hurting people and it's empowering people because we're putting athletes on a platform a lot of times, but it's like they're people at the end of the day. And so I think that my research is unfinished. So I would definitely want to go back to school. I don't know when, but like I'm definitely not opposed to it. And I also just know how education it changes the trajectory of your life. Like
Yes.
it really just opens up so many doors. And so I definitely don't think that I'm finished with school, even if it's in like going back to teach. I don't know.
That makes me so excited for you. Oh my gosh. Again, education is so good. It's so good to learn. And to kind of wrap up this episode, Bloss, what piece of advice do you have for local students in our area?
I would say take risk. Honestly, like it doesn't matter if say like you're still indecisive, like what you're doing, even like you're just starting college or you're going to a university. Just take that risk and just learn from that. It might be wrong at first, but just figure it out and you'll be good.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Bloss. And Maya, what piece of advice do you have for local students?
I would say enjoy the moment and just be present, like lean on your cohort. I texted my friends from grad school and I said, I'm talking about grad school and it feels like a fever dream. Like it really does go by so fast. And it's like when you're in it, you're like, this is the trenches, like this is the pits. But then like you get to the end of it and you're like, oh, this was so worth it. So I would say like enjoy the moment, be where you are because you're never going to get this time back, but also be proud of where you're at. Like,
Very
be
good.
proud of where you're at. Celebrate those small wins. Celebrate the big ones because you earned it. So just celebrate it. Be present and don't take it for granted at all.
That is so good. Well, Bloss and Maya, thank you so much for joining me on this latest episode of the Education Connection Show. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Thank you.
And that is a wrap. We will see you back here soon for the next episode. Keep it here.